these movies I did watch a couple weeks back. X, Peril, and Infinity Pool, and there was this Nicolas Cage movie called Pig. But I will go on for about 5 or 6 minutes about these movies, maybe a bit longer, because there's like X and Peril are connected, and Infinity Pool is just like its own side project. So for those who don't know, X and Peril are these A24 productions that came out in 2022. And there was like all these movies that came out in 2022, and I'm like, oh, I've heard about this movie slightly. I've heard these movies slightly, right? Never got around to them because there's so much stuff coming out nowadays. So then I went on to Neon and watched X. And for those who don't know, X is pretty much this premise around how there's this film crew, adult film crew kind of thing, and it's 1979. They go to this farm with this old couple there. They approve of this. They let them go onto this farm, but what they don't realise is that the old couple's gonna come after them and everything like that. And you see a lot of nudity in this movie. You see all that. You see the suspense building. So what it does is it builds towards that, and it did weird me out with the old couple. And it is quite an odd movie. Like, it's one of the oddest movies I've watched. Like, I've been dipping my toes more into horror movies, and so given having a bit more of an exotic and exploitive kind of sexual horror movie was an interesting mix to say the least. So I did like that, and Mia Goth is in it. It's one of these actresses that are in it, and she's a good actress in it. And there's also Jenny Ortega from the Wednesday Show and all this stuff, and they all kind of play into it. Yeah, man, it got really interesting to say the least. And I think it's like there was all this hype surrounding X and Peril, and I do think to an extent it lives up to the hype. Like X is, and it's not even like scary horror. It's like, oh, we're seeing the hot ladies do the hot things, getting recorded on camera. Yo, let's go. That's kind of what it feels like. It's not like, oh my god, they're coming after me. I'm gonna die. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But then the old couple have sex in the movie, and it's just kind of weird. And that's what I like about A24 is that they just go for these most randomly obscure films and say, like, let's just do this anyway. I don't care. We're not sticking to this one singular formula. We're just gonna go outside the box all the time. And that's what I've been hearing about A Beau is Afraid, which is another kind of A24 experimental sort of stuff. So with that said, I think X is good. And then you get Peril, which is the prequel, and this is about the character Peril, and it's kind of different from Mia Goth's performance as Maxine in X. It's more of a prequel, and then you get her mother and her father, her father's ill, so there's that stuff going on. It's in a farm. She's thinking about her husband who's in the war and what will happen when he comes back, but she's dreaming about becoming a star, and you get to see her wanting to become a dancer and even an adult star. But it isn't as a full on sex and nudity as compared to X. It's more about developing this deep story that leads to this chaos of her pretty much killing her own parents, which she just hates her parents. She wants to get off this farm and pursue what she wants to pursue. And it's one of those movies, and definitely have to give them an appreciation for trying to go back to the old roots of filmmaking. Like, some of the filmmaking in this movie feels old school, and nowadays we need 20 million, 200 million, 300 million, 400 million, 500 million, 600 million, 700 million budget films. Where we're having either CGI, we're reshooting it, and then it just is like a green screen, volume green screen. No, this movie kind of sabotages that modern trope, and it's like, okay, let's go back to the old roots of cinema. And so that's what's great about these movies is that they just like subvert the idea of modern filmmaking and go back to the basics. And so that's what's great about them, and recommend them. Definitely slept on these movies. Like, I should have watched these like ages ago when they came out. And there's going to be a follow-up sequel in this sort of set little trilogy or little saga that A24 has put together here called Maxine, and so we're going to see that, how it follows through from the events of X. So I will be interested to see that. Also, Mia Goth is going to be in this new Blade Marvel movie. I hope that's good and it's rated R and everything, but we'll just have to see.